My wife was supposed to pick up our daughter. Instead, my daughter found her in the gym storage room with her coach. She told me everything. I reported him to the district, emailed every parent on his team, and sent her the custody papers that night. The only thing left in her closet was her jersey. My daughter asked if she could burn it. Thursday started like any other Thursday. I was finishing up a meeting at work, watching the clock tick past 5:30 p.m., assuming Nicole had already picked up our daughter from basketball practice. That was the arrangement. Tuesdays and Thursdays were hers. I covered Mondays and Fridays. Wednesdays were a coin toss. The call came just as I was packing my bag. A number I didn't recognize. It was the school secretary. "Hi, Mr. Hartley. Sorry to bother you. Claire's still here. Her practice ended an hour ago. We've been trying to reach your wife, but..." I was out the door before she finished. By the time I got to the school, the sun had nearly dipped. The gym lights were off. Claire stood under the awning, hugging her duffel bag, water bottle dangling from one strap. Her cheeks were pale, and her face looked tighter than usual, like she was holding something in. When she saw me, she didn't run over. She just stood there, like she wasn't surprised it was me instead of her mom. I crouched beside her, asked if she was okay. She nodded, then climbed into the car without a word. We didn't talk during the ride. No music. No small talk about drills or who made the most free throws. Just silence. Her gaze stayed fixed on the window, blinking too often. Halfway home, she whispered something. I asked her to repeat it. She didn't. We got home, and I told her to change while I made dinner. She barely touched her plate. I tried a few jokes. She forced a smile, but it felt mechanical, like she was trying not to upset me. After dishes, I found her in her room, already in pajamas, curled up with her stuffed seal she hadn't touched in months. That's when she finally said it. "Dad, I saw Mom." My heart dropped. I didn't know what that meant yet. She was at the gym. I blinked. At the gym? Claire nodded. I went to look for her. I thought maybe she forgot or was inside talking to Coach. But I opened the wrong door. She glanced down at her fingers, twisting the hem of her sleeve. It was the storage room, the one by the showers. The air changed. My brain started calculating what she wasn't saying. She was with Coach Bryant. They were hugging, but not like friends. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Claire kept talking, her voice barely above a whisper. She didn't see me at first, but then she turned and told me not to tell you. She said it would confuse you. I felt cold all over. Not angry, not betrayed, just stunned. My wife, our daughter, the coach, the storage room. I asked her what she did next. She shrugged. I just waited outside. For a long time. Then the office lady called you. I sat on the edge of her bed and gently touched her shoulder. She flinched slightly. That hurt worse than anything else. That she thought I might be mad at her. That she had to carry this, alone, for over an hour. I told her none of this was her fault. That she did the right thing. That she was brave. She asked me not to tell Mom she told me. Not yet. I promised. After she fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen for what felt like hours. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared at the spot on the floor where Claire's muddy sneakers were drying. Nicole came home around 11:40 p.m. I didn't ask where she was. She didn't offer it. She walked in like nothing was wrong, kissed me on the head, and disappeared into the bathroom. I didn't say anything. I just watched the door close behind her. I noticed her gym bag by the entryway. The tag from a protein smoothie still attached. She had changed clothes somewhere. She emerged in pajamas, yawning. Asked if I'd stayed up working. I said yes. My voice didn't even crack. She kissed me again, softer this time, then went to bed. I stayed up a while longer, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the occasional car outside, Claire's soft breathing from down the hall. At midnight, I opened our shared Google Calendar. She had written, "Dinner with parents." I called her mom the next morning, casually, asking how dinner went last night. She sounded confused. Said she hadn't seen Nicole all week. That lie confirmed everything. I didn't confront Nicole that morning. I didn't mention Claire's story. Not yet. Instead, I drove Claire to school, picked up an extra-large coffee, and went back home. I had some digging to do, and whatever I found, I would make sure she never forgot that her lies had consequences. Not just for me, but for the daughter she lied to, too. By 9 a.m., Nicole had already texted me twice. The first was routine. "Can you pick up groceries later?" The second was stranger. "Did Claire say anything weird about last night? She was quiet in the car earlier." I stared at that second message a long time. She knew. She had seen the look on Claire's face and knew something wasn't right. But she didn't ask directly. She never did. Nicole never confronted what she couldn't control. She played around it, masked it in casual texts and fake errands. But I wasn't playing. While she was out running errands, I logged into our shared cell account portal. Nicole wasn't exactly tech-savvy, and she had no idea her call logs synced with our joint billing profile. I typed in my code and waited. There it was. Bryant, C. listed as Team B in her contacts. 43 calls in 3 weeks. Some of them after midnight. Some just minutes apart. The texts were worse. Screenshots of timestamps, location pings, Wi-Fi handovers that told a story more clearly than she ever would. A few calls stood out. A string of them on a weekend. She told me she was heading to a spa retreat with some old college friends. I remembered it because Claire had a sleepover at her cousin's, and I had the house to myself. I pulled up our bank records. That weekend had a $387 charge at a resort spa hotel 40 minutes away. Not in the mountains where she said they were headed. No group booking. Just one room. One name on the receipt, Nicole Hartley. The reservation was for 2 adults. I opened a new browser tab and searched for photos of the hotel. The rooms looked cozy. Expensive. Each one had a private patio and whirlpool tub. I closed the tab. I pulled up the school's website. Went through the staff directory. Clicked on Coach Bryant's profile. He was listed as part-time athletics consultant. Divorced. Mid-30s. No prior history with the district. Hired 6 months ago. I opened our shared calendar and started matching dates. It was like watching a trap unfold in slow motion. She had plotted around our routines. My work trips. Her yoga nights. Claire's practices. Always one step ahead. Except for yesterday. That was their mistake. Not just cheating, but doing it where Claire could find them. Where a child had to carry the weight of their secrets. That changed the stakes. I opened an incognito window and logged into the district's reporting system. Anonymous submissions were allowed. I included screenshots of Nicole's texts with Coach Bryant, the call logs, and a photo of the hotel receipt. I detailed what Claire had seen in the storage room. I never used her name, but I was clear that the witness was a minor. And terrified, I hit submit and sat in silence. Nicole returned in the afternoon, shopping bags in hand. She kissed me, cheerful, said traffic was awful, started unloading groceries into the fridge, asking about Claire's science project like nothing was wrong. I nodded, played along. I needed more time, more certainty. That evening, Claire sat in her room doing homework. Nicole called from the kitchen, asking if we wanted to watch a movie. I said maybe later. Then I slipped away to our bedroom and pulled her laptop from her bag. Her password was still our anniversary date. I logged in. She had left her Facebook open. Coach Bryant's name appeared in recent messages. No photos. No sexts. Just careful conversations. Times, places, coded words. But then I saw it. A pin note. A trip plan labeled next season. It was a schedule built around team practices and weekends off. She had blocked out 3 weekends in advance. One of them was Claire's birthday. They had been planning more. I closed the laptop. Locked it in my drawer. That night, I couldn't sleep. Claire had nightmares. I heard her whimper around 2 a.m., crept to her room, and found her curled up, tears on her pillow. She didn't wake, but she gripped my hand when I brushed her hair back. I sat on the edge of her bed until dawn. The next morning, the school called. They were vague, said there had been an inquiry involving Coach Bryant, and asked if I was aware of any concerns. I said yes. I didn't elaborate. They said he had been placed on temporary reassignment, pending review. He wouldn't be leading practice that day. Nicole's expression when she heard the news said everything. She froze, spoon in midair, staring at her phone like it had just burned her fingers. She asked me if I'd heard anything. I just shrugged. She went pale. That night, she tried to start a conversation. Kept circling. We should talk. Things feel weird lately. I know I've been distant. I said I had to finish some work. She sat on the couch watching me type nothing for 20 minutes. Then, as I got up to go to bed, she asked me, quietly, if Claire was okay. I paused. I looked her straight in the face and said, she will be. I closed the door. In the dark, I emailed myself everything. Duplicated every screenshot. Printed backup files and stored them in my safe. The custody paperwork was drafted that same night. No delays. No discussions. Just signatures. I waited until Monday. That morning, I opened the team's parent contact sheet Claire had brought home at the start of the season. It listed emails and phone numbers for all families, along with the coach's contact info. Meant for carpooling, snack schedules, tournament coordination. I turned it into something else. I created a new email account. No name. No signature. Just an address built to disappear. Then I started compiling everything. Screenshots of Nicole's call logs with Bryant. The hotel receipt. Copies of the chat transcripts she deleted but were still buried in her app cache. Timestamps from her gym card check-ins, perfectly overlapping with his schedule. And, most important, the summary of what Claire had seen. The gym storage room, the exact time and date, how she was told to keep it a secret. I kept it all factual. No emotional outbursts. No rants. Just evidence. Laid out like a case file. I ended the email with one line. Would you trust this man alone with your daughter? Then I hit send all. By noon, it was everywhere. One parent forwarded it to the principal. Another posted in the private school Facebook group with the subject, "Is this real?" The replies poured in, panicked, furious, stunned. A few moms demanded answers. A few dads called for Bryant's immediate firing. One parent, someone I barely knew, found my number and called directly. She asked if my daughter was okay. I said she would be, because now people knew. That evening, the school district issued a notice. Coach Bryant was placed on administrative leave pending a formal investigation. Practice was canceled until further notice. A substitute coach would be brought in for the rest of the season. Claire heard it first from a classmate. She looked at me across the dinner table and just nodded once. She didn't ask how it happened. She didn't want to know, but she knew I had done something, and she was grateful. Nicole, on the other hand, wasn't quiet for long. She got a call from the school's athletic director around 6:45 p.m. I heard her voice rising from the kitchen. "What do you mean suspended? What the hell is going on?" Then she stormed into the living room with her phone in one hand and a crumpled paper in the other. "What did you do?" she snapped. I didn't look up from my laptop. I said, "It's all public now. You should prepare yourself." She laughed, but it was brittle, a sound with no humor. "You're ruining everything," she hissed. "Do you realize what this will do to Claire?" To me. I turned to her. For the first time, I spoke without flinching. "You already did that." She stood there, frozen. Then the facade cracked. Her hand trembled. She dropped the paper. It was a copy of the anonymous email, printed out by someone who forwarded it to her. Nicole looked me dead in the eye. "You'll lose her, too. She'll hate you for this." I slid a sealed envelope across the table. "Custody papers. Signed. Filed. Notarized." It hit her like a slap. She didn't open it right away. She just stared. Then, like a switch flipped, she began pacing, muttering, calling me a monster, accusing me of turning our daughter against her. That's when Claire stepped into the room. Nicole turned, startled. Her voice cracked. "Honey, it's not what it looks like." Claire didn't say anything. She looked at the envelope on the table, then back at me. Then she walked away, silently, back to her room. Door shut, locked. Nicole didn't follow. She knew it was over. That night, she slept on the couch. Or tried to. I didn't hear her go into the bedroom. I didn't hear crying. Just silence. The next morning, she was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just a stack of hangers where her clothes had been. A half-packed suitcase left open in the hallway. Shoes missing. Jewelry box untouched. Every photo of Claire still hanging on the wall. Except one frame. A picture of the three of us at Claire's 5th birthday party had been turned face down on the coffee table. The only thing left in the closet was her old high school jersey. Framed. White and blue. Number 12. The one she used to show off to Claire. The one she claimed was full of memories. Claire found it after school. She stood there for a full minute, staring at it. Then she asked if she could burn it. I didn't answer right away, but I didn't say no. The news spread beyond the team. By Thursday, more parents had come forward. Some admitted they'd felt uncomfortable with how close Bryant was to certain students. One mom said he had offered private lessons at his house and only asked certain girls. Another mentioned long car rides home when practices ran late, saying her daughter felt weird about it but never explained why. The district ramped up its investigation. They put Bryant on unpaid suspension. A formal hearing was scheduled. I started receiving anonymous thank you messages. Parents saying they wished they'd spoken up, that they never wanted to believe anything was wrong, that it took something this big, this loud, to finally act. Nicole tried to call once. I didn't answer. She tried again, then again. Eventually, I texted. "All communication goes through the lawyer." She never replied. Claire seemed lighter. Not happy, not healed, but unburdened. She started sleeping through the night again, started finishing her meals. She even asked if we could go for ice cream after school, something she hadn't wanted in weeks. We talked about new teams, new sports, whether she wanted to try something different. She said maybe, but not basketball, not for a while. That night, we took the jersey outside. We didn't do anything dramatic, just a small backyard fire pit, some quiet, a match in the frame. Claire held it for a while. Then she let it go. I watched the flames curl around the fabric. The number peeled first. Then the stitching collapsed. Then the whole thing turned black and soft and finally disappeared. She stood next to me without saying a word. Then she whispered, "I hope he gets fired, too." I didn't tell her he probably already had. Some things don't need to be spoken. Saturday came with cold air and quiet skies. I told Claire we were going away for a day or two. Nothing fancy, just somewhere without phones, without notifications, without the weight of what the last week had dumped on us. She nodded, didn't even ask where. We packed a small bag and drove 2 hours out to my brother's old cabin in the hills. He wasn't using it. The place was dusty, half frozen, but it had heat, a working fire pit, and quiet. Claire brought the jersey in a plastic grocery bag. She didn't mention it until we pulled up to the cabin. She opened the trunk herself and pulled it out like she had already decided what she wanted to do. There was no conversation about it. No ceremonial speech. No dramatic pause. Just a teenage girl, a pile of old wood, and a matchbook from the cabin drawer. I helped her stack the logs. She set the jersey on top like it was just another piece of trash, not something her mom once cherished. She didn't flinch when it caught fire. Didn't blink when the fabric curled into black curls and cracked down the seams. Her eyes didn't move from the flame, even when the last threads collapsed. She stood there, arms crossed, jacket zipped, watching something she used to admire dissolve into ash. I stayed behind her. Didn't say anything. I knew if I did, I'd ruin whatever piece she was pulling out of that flame. Eventually, she whispered, "She wore that to my practice last year. Told me I had her fire." I didn't reply, just stood there. She added, "It was fake." It was the first time she had talked about Nicole without emotion. No trembling, no tears, just fact. Cold and clean. Later, we made dinner. Canned soup, grilled cheese on the cabin's ancient stovetop. She laughed when the pan caught fire for a second. It was small, but it mattered. That laugh cut through something. We played cards. Read a book. She fell asleep on the couch with a blanket pulled to her chin. For the first time in a long time, her face looked calm. Not blank. Not shut down. Calm. The following week, the school officially terminated Coach Bryant's contract. The district issued a formal statement citing multiple breaches of professional conduct and inappropriate behavior leading to a breach of student safety. The words were vague, sanitized, designed by lawyers. But everyone knew what they meant. Nicole had moved in with a friend across town. She texted once more asking if we could talk in person. I didn't answer. I forwarded it to my attorney. Claire hadn't asked about her once since she left. Then, a few days later, she did. We were cleaning out her closet when she picked up an old photo album and asked, "Do I have to talk to her?" I paused, told her the truth. "No, not unless you want to." She didn't respond. Just closed the album and put it in a box labeled storage. The last message Nicole sent wasn't about the custody battle or the house, or even Claire. It was a photo. From years ago. The three of us on a hike, arms wrapped around each other, grinning like the world was solid. She didn't caption it. I didn't reply. Claire decided to try volleyball. New team. New coach. She asked if I could stay and watch practice this time. Just for the first few. I agreed. I watched her from the bleachers, light on her feet, focused, shouting instructions. She wasn't the most skilled, not the fastest, but she listened. She played hard. One of the parents came over and introduced herself. Said she recognized my last name. Asked if Claire was okay after everything. I nodded. Said she was doing better. And she was. Not fixed. Not fully healed. But grounded. On the way home, she asked if we could get Thai food. Said she missed dad-daughter pad Thai nights. We ordered too much, spilled the rice, laughed at the delivery guy's hat. She fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie we'd already seen. I carried her to bed. The house felt full again. Not of noise, but of purpose. Of truth. There were still signs of Nicole, frames she hadn't taken, clothes she'd forgotten, old messages buried deep in drawers. But none of it held any weight anymore. Just reminders. Just old paper. The next week, Claire's team had their first game. She asked if I could come early. I did. She didn't say it, but I knew why. When the whistle blew and the match began, she didn't look back at the crowd. She didn't need to check if I was there. She knew, and that was enough. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.